Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how I designed and built the training map for my game. This map is all about helping players master the movement mechanics, and I'll walk you through how it evolved from simple blocky shapes to a full training map. The first map I made was pretty basic, it was functional, and it helped me test out the mechanics I wanted to implement. I used very simple blocks and shape. At this stage it wasn't about making it look pretty, it was all about function. The goal was to create a layout that would make players use all the movement mechanics, like running, jumping, climbing, even wall running, but it was a bit boring. Then I upgraded my project from Unreal Engine 5.3 to 5.4. I decided it was a good time to rebuild the map from scratch. This new map would not only let me refine the movement mechanics, but also serve as a training or demo map for players in the future. I want the map to challenge players to use every movement mechanic in the game. As I was giving the map shape, I really focused on what the player could do. For example, one of the main mechanics in the game is swinging with a grappling hook, so I made sure to add areas where you have to use it to cross gaps. My priority was designing something that fit with the character's abilities. Even though I had a certain route in mind when building the map, there is still a variety of ways in which you can get from point A to point B, so it's up to the player to find the way they like the most. So once the layout was solid, I started thinking about how the map should look. At this point, it was time to give it some personality. I knew I wanted it to have a practical and realistic feel that matched the world where this game takes place and the gameplay. So I started transforming those simple blocks into more detailed obstacles. The map had to be small and contained, since it's supposed to be a simple obstacle course for the player to experiment with the mechanics. So I thought it could resemble some sort of refuge which was still being adapted to shelter people from the post-apocalyptic world I am trying to create. My biggest inspiration for the final design came from the assets available to me. I ended up with a construction site theme, which I think works really nicely. It's a space that certainly feels like a training ground but still has some personality. Steel beams, scaffolding, cranes, they all add to the immersion while staying true to the mechanics. The map also allowed me to experiment with the creation of light, foliage, interactable objects, day-night cycles and ambient sounds. I learned a lot through the process. The map is still evolving, as it's still not at its final stage by any means, and I would like to experiment with it, adding storytelling elements and making the atmosphere look more unique. Of course, I'm open to suggestions, and if you have any ideas on how I could make it cooler or more practical, I'd be glad to hear them. Make sure to like and subscribe to keep updated on the development of the game. One of the ideas I wanted to implement in this map is parkour races, such as in Dying Light or Dying Light 2, or even like in the Harry Potter game where they have the Quidditch races. So I'll try to put in some of those so that the player can race against himself and beat his record time. So let me know if you like the idea. I know it's something I really enjoy in games like Mirror's Edge or Dying Light. Once I had the main obstacles, I tried to add a bit more detail. I experimented with decals, with just small assets like plants or little stones in the ground, or simply changing the color of the landscape, having different shades to blend in and blend out. I think one of the first objects I did for the player to interact with was the radio. Really simple, just you basically press the button and music starts playing. Just to try out new things. This map I'm taking as a learning experience most of all. I also really wanted the map not to have any empty spaces, like there's a little bit of everything in it. Since the movement mechanics were nearly done, or basically done, and one of my next steps is to create the combat system, I did create a little area in the map where you will be able to try out the different guns and different tools you will have to combat enemies. Adding sounds was also something that I was really excited about, since it really brings the game together. So even though the map is just basically a square, I did want the player to have the feeling that there's a lot more world to explore, even though in this particular map it's not the case. That's one of the reasons I left like a little gate where you could see through. Also, since I wanted the player to have this sense of, okay, there's a world beyond this that I can explore, I started to put foliage. One of the main problems is that the FPS dropped like crazy, so I really needed to learn how to optimize them and use assets that would work well with Unreal Engine. Also, as you can see in some of the clips, there's certain shadows that disappear, others come back. I then realized that it was dependent on the type of asset I was using and how Unreal Engine treated that asset. To be able to optimize the game better, I tried using different assets for foliage, so this is why you see them change so much in the clips. In the future, I will talk more specifically about the light changes I had to make, some asset changes that I also had to make, and especially talking about foliage and how to optimize it well enough, at least to my knowledge. I'm still working on it. That is all I have for this video. That's how this training map came to life, sort of. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.